Good evening. Welcome to a meeting of the Darien Architectural Review Board. My name is Elizabeth Geiger. I'm chairman. Today is Tuesday, June 17th, 2025. With us tonight we have David Humphrey, Rebecca Hart, Anya Janis, our vice chair, Alex Lopatensky, and Kate Polselli. We have no old business, no agenda items, so we're going straight into new business tonight. It's ARB number 2025, which is PL 2595 in Viewpoint, 1500 Boston Post Road for Stanford Health. Hi, there's so many fives in that. 25.
I brought some handouts if you'd like to pass them down.
Great.
And this is a sample of the material.
Fantastic. You know the drill. I know you've been here before, but introduce yourself and your company.
Okay, I'm John Masonry, Accent Signs and Awnings, and this is 1500 Post Road. Stanford Health is the tenant there. So this is a monument sign. It's stencil-cut aluminum, backed up by acrylic. We're going to have a brushed aluminum finish on the face. This is their standard logo color, 208C. This is going to be LED illuminated and be double-sided, perpendicular with the road. This is going to be at their main entrance here. This will be the only monument sign. It's replacing a small directional sign here. Stanford Health feels that they need more visibility. Of course, they have, some of their patients are older. There's no other real signage on the building at all. That's about it. It's 60 by 60. It'll stand off the ground 8 to 12 inches on an aluminum base. And that's pretty much it.
John, why the size so large? It seems like a lot of space in there. So I want to see about why the space. Why couldn't it be tightened up a little bit more? I also want to ask why you guys are requesting lighting, because for a basic sign, why lighting would be needed.
Well, sometimes at 4:30, it's dark, and they're open till 6 or 7 some nights.
Okay.
It's the letters. The logo itself, I mean, the 1500 is kind of big. Maybe we could bring that down a little bit.
Well, I think it's the overall size of the sign. I mean, if you put it 12 inches off the ground, that's 6 feet. I mean, it's a big sign.
Yeah, it's a real big sign.
How big
Regulation.
is the sign?
Regulation is.
Maximum size of monument sign is 20 square feet, maximum height is 6 feet per sign. So 6 is the maximum here, but 20 is less than what you have. If it's a 5 by 5, it's already 25 square feet. And that overall square footage includes whatever base it will be, so it'll have to shrink. You'll have to make it a little smaller.
What does the regulation say?
20 square foot max for
Oh,
a
okay.
monument sign
With
in both zone,
With
pedestrian
the-
and automobile.
With the base.
With the base, so
Yeah.
4 by 5, or whichever way you
right,
want to do it,
4
but
by
not,
5, and this
not
is 6 by 5. This is 6 by 5.
This would look like,
Too big.
not
Yeah.
quite 6, but
Okay,
5.5.
so we could bring it down.
Yeah, shrink it and send it a PDF. Or
Yeah.
Is there a regulation on the depth?
no regulation on depth,
Good
just
question,
there's the height.
It's a 12-inch thickness. Is that right? Is that what I'm saying?
Well, if it's LED, we want the 12 inches to diffuse the light.
But how does the LED work? I'm trying to figure it out. Is it
It's gonna
LED
be
inside?
internally lit, yes.
So it's just gonna, the semi-transparent?
Yeah.
Yeah, how does the lighting work?
It's just like, it basically just looks like fluorescent bulbs in the middle with LED on both sides. It's just a track with LED on both sides.
A track where inside you can't
The
see.
inside in the middle, you don't see it.
So what's lit up then? Like the letters?
Just the letters will light up. The
But-
background's opaque because it's aluminum.
Right. So the letters would be red, like a red.
It's really a burgundy.
Ooh,
Glowing in the evening.
I know. I'm not.
That's tough.
I know.
I mean,
I'm not convinced that you need lighting. I hear about I don't know.
all the outlets
Striking.
here are going to.
What about indirect lighting from the ground?
Yeah.
Just a spotlight at the
That
at the
would be
base.
better.
Because we've been kind of mixing every
Yeah.
internal illumination is actually prohibited in the code.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think ground lighting up onto the sign would be a better solution.
Okay?
Were you not aware of the code
Hey,
requirements?
you know what, the landlord did the research for me and told me it was legal.
That's right.
He did all the research, he said that we were allowed one ground sign, I guess he didn't go into it deep enough.
so let's explore ground lighting, like a single
Okay.
ground sign, but I actually would prefer with the timer. Do we do that with lights to where they shut off at a certain time of night? Like by like,
Yeah.
We could put a
7
photo cell,
o'clock.
we could put a photo cell on it, or you're talking about the ground lights though.
yeah, so like they don't need to be lit, you know, from
Yeah.
7 o'clock through 4 AM.
Yeah,
I'm sure they could put a photo cell on it, and it
Okay.
would shut off when, well,
When it's bright enough outside.
yeah, well, it would stay on all night, I guess you'd want it on a timer.
Yeah, we want it
Yeah.
on a timer.
Okay,
And if we do with the ground lighting, just doesn't need to be that thick then. Like, we could reduce that thickness a little bit.
yeah, because you have nothing,
Oh, yeah.
there's nothing inside the monument sign anymore, so. it
Well,
would-
we
it
could
could be
build
a
it
little
whatever you
narrow.
want, the next standard is 6 inches,
Yeah,
but I can make
although,
anything custom.
although for something that large,
Yeah, 6 inches would give me enough structure.
okay,
Okay.
that's better.
The LED lighting, just we have been trying to say, I would say around, usually 5,000 or less, with a strong preference for 3,000 Kelvin, on temperature. So really a warm lighting for the uplight for this.
Okay,
John will write that in the notes.
okay, so I can get you specs on that?
Yeah,
So I think what we could do to move things along, if you come back with something that's in the regulation size, the 4x5,
Mhm.
6 inches depth, and as part of your new spec sheet, the ground lighting's included, and it notes in there that it's gonna be 3,000 lumens or something under 5,
Okay,
then we could administratively approve that through Hervé, so you wouldn't have to come back
okay,
in July.
so I would just put that in, I would just email that to you.
You would resubmit a new PDF into the file, and then let Hervé know, and we would,
Then I'll
Do
make a
that.
certificate with your new submission, and that's what you can use for your building permit application.
Okay, all right, great.
What's the base, man? Same?
Aluminum. Yeah, the whole thing is gonna have an aluminum structure inside for strength, and then it's covered with, you know, 040 aluminum.
Okay. How do you do the joints on the edges, on the corners?
Well, actually, this system is extruded track, and
So the whole thing
it
is.
fits right in. This doesn't slide in, it fits right in, so you have a flat face, there's no trim around it.
I mean, like on the corners, are you like mitering two pieces together, or when you say extruded track, is the whole?
The track is on the side and the face fits flush on the corner of it. So you don't see any seam. On the top and the bottom of the box, you're gonna see a miter in here. You know, where the two pieces come together, but you won't see anything like that on the face.
Do we need the entrance lettering? Is that not obvious?
Well,
say it
The
again.
arrows to
Like
enter
that,
into
do we
it?
need the entrance lettering? Like, is that not obvious?
I was wondering that, like, I hate that stuff,
also too small.
but I do see people
The
going in
arrows
the
are
wrong
definitely
entrance
too-
all the time, right? It is a one-way thing, right?
yeah, the other entrance is only an exit.
Okay,
So that's really why they wanted entrance here.
because on the road, there's arrows going both ways.
Well, it's because it's double sided.
No, on the ground, you mean, right? Right, Dave? Like, yeah, it's a two-way,
On the pavement.
the pavement shows it's two-way, are they gonna
Oh,
redo?
right. There are arrows going both ways, but this is the only entrance. The other side is an exit too. There's an exit here and only an exit on the other side.
You mean only an entrance on the other side?
No, on the other
No,
side of the building is
You can enter
only
and
an
exit on
exit.
the side. You can
Oh.
only exit on the other side.
But this is the only side that you're supposed to
I've
enter.
been going in at the wrong side of that building then for 8 years, my
Well,
friend.
yeah, the arrows, we need to make it bigger, we need that 12 feet high.
Well, I feel like, I think we discussed this before, Dave, to your point, like, arrows on the ground, clearly marked arrows on the street. Direct people where you don't need to actually say it. Is that what you were getting to, Dave? Like-
Yeah, I mean,
And it is kind of small relative to the rest of the sign.
Well, yeah, and you're
And-
going along at a
and
clip, are you kidding? You
It's
never
not
see
right where you actually enter, it's on the other side of the drive, right? So it really doesn't help you.
if it was
At that
one
point,
way.
at that
Like
point.
you've missed
At
it,
that
you've
entrance.
missed the turn.
Correct.
You see it.
That's right. So it's a little
So
This is
it's a little
counter.
redundant.
Now, if the monument sign was on the other side, maybe. But
Yeah,
This is an entrance.
I know, it's an
They
entrance.
must have changed, they have to change it.
The other side is an entrance. It's a, John, it's only, the other side is the only entrance.
No, the other side of the building is an exit.
No, I see it on Google Maps, it has the arrow. I go in, right, yeah.
Did they repaint Mason anytime?
I'm almost, I'll send you a picture, I'm almost positive they have do not enter signs on the other side.
That they just put up.
This is the new, this is
I-
the
I
high-end
Let's
one.
see those pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really don't think, well, I'll check it, I'll check it and send you pictures.
I think that the takeaway the board is gonna, is saying like the entrance with arrows. Right, is the
Yeah,
takeaway like to remove it?
Or at least one of them.
I don't think, I mean, it's still
This one
confusing.
is the one that's like.
It's
The
confusing.
monument sign's there to say this is the building, so.
Yeah,
um,
it. So turn here.
okay.
So we're gonna take the entrance,
Remove entrance
Yeah.
arrows.
okay.
If they're doing other signage on the other side though, we'd love to know, we'll need to know.
Well, I think when I say do not enter, I think there's just a standard traffic sign on the other side that says. do not
Yeah,
enter.
might be.
Okay, they must have flipped it around
That's a new flip then, that's a change.
then.
That's probably a new sign.
Even traffic signs, they have to come to you?
Yes, the traffic sight signs come to us.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know.
No, I know. So, as part of your new application, I'm gonna make this even more fun for you. You're
Okay.
to send a picture of the other side, and see the signage of that.
Okay,
So this might get a little more complicated.
okay.
Because what we do directed in the past, it's actually become cleaner and more successful in town, is that sites like this have just repainted the asphalt. And that's worked really well with signs, arrows, so someone sees that, I mean, there's a mistake here and there, but that taco place worked really well doing that, remember that? On Post Road, that taco place that wanted to put signs everywhere.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
It didn't work, but, alright,
Okay, all right,
to be continued.
thank you very
Submit
much.
pictures, new thing, and then Hervé and I will talk, we'll see if we can get admin approval for you.
Sounds good, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alright, next up guys, we have ARB 21, 2025, which is PL 2597 in Viewpoint, 173 Noroton Avenue.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Look at you walking.
Yeah,
You
doing a
carried
little
it in so
weightlifting as we came
casually,
in here.
too.
I know.
It was as if you had papers in your bag and then ouch, John was
yeah.
large.
I have paper copies of renderings if you guys would
Great,
like.
yeah, why not? That'd be lovely. Well, we'll share.
Um,
Bye, John.
Could be.
That's
You guys
pretty
know,
good,
I
that's a
think
good one.
Christina, I might have to tell her when to stop days.
Start with this beautiful picture.
yeah, good existing conditions. I'm Ryan Salvatore from Burr Salvatore Architects, 815 Post Road in town. And here representing Jeff Bojazdzic, who's the owner of Bojazdzic Construction, Bojazdzic Masonry, who recently purchased this building and wants to conduct some renovations to relocate his office and his shop there.
Can you name, what's the owner's name again? Bojazdzic?
Jeff Bojazdzic,
Okay, spell it.
Bojadzdic.
Liz, just
Yeah,
copy
thank you.
those.
It's easier, sorry, I can't, thank you, thank you guys, okay, good job.
Many of you would know this as a former auto body shop. It's been, I don't know, vacant for at least over a year. Anyhow, the plan here is to really try to clean it up and bring it into today's times, but do it in a way that is sensitive to the existing building. So the plan really is to maintain the masonry, repaint it. The renderings probably depict this best. We're going to replace the windows and door, the windows and the person doors. The garage door along Noroton Avenue is intended to stay, but to be painted. We want to.
Sorry, so the garage door is gonna stay?
The garage door, yeah, so we're gonna, maintain the garage door, remove the existing shingle canopy, I don't even know what to call it. Replace the entry door to the north of the garage door and replace the windows, replace the door on the back side of the building. And that's probably the best view to depict this. As part of replacing the windows along the south side, we're gonna raise the lintels and we want to install some stone lintels and stone sills, which is what this sample, it's the rusticated, sorry about the cut on the sample, but the rusticated portion of the sample that you see there, and also carry that language into a planting bed between the building and the sidewalk, both as a way to provide a little bit of a buffer, but also, and soften things a little bit with planting, but also do it in a way that the plantings will actually be sustainable given the need to maintain the road and the sidewalk.
How tall is that planting bed, by the way? It's hard to get a sense.
It's a good question, I'm not sure that we've detailed it, but
To be successful, wouldn't it have to be a couple feet?
I would say, no, I would say, you know, maybe 12 inches, 18 inches. We'd like to keep it low, because we want to keep the vistas of the building, but just enough so that the salt spreader isn't, you know, casting salt into the bed. And then the lower part of the building, which now is stuccoed and poured concrete, I mean, the north side of the building is basically invisible, just based on the way the adjacent building and landscape are situated. We would clean up and paint, when I say clean up, patch any of the stucco that needs to be patched and paint to match the brick. We've provided paint specifications, and I have a sample with me, proposed color. The idea is that the brick would be a charcoal color and that the other elements around the building, so the coping, the windows, the entry door, the staircase, any other accents would be a black color.
Is the stucco currently something like this?
Exactly.
On the other side, right? But the whole entire height?
Yeah, well, the grade is higher on there.
Okay, so even the upper portion?
No, the upper portion is brick.
It's still brick? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good.
And then we also intend to install a rooftop HVAC unit and screen it out with fence enclosure. The fence comes from an existing fence that is along the west side of the property, probably shown, if not here, shown in the future, in one of the other images, but carrying that language up to screen out the HVAC equipment up on the rooftop. And last thing I just note, want to create one ADA parking van spot between the planter and the building, and then additional parking down in the back, which would also involve some removal of a really unsympathetic chain link fence and replacement with this fence where it's missing along the property. Happy to answer any questions.
Your plans go somewhere else?
Yes, there is a planting plan,
Yeah, it's a sandy.
and
And
sorry, I didn't
we're gonna talk
mention
about
lighting.
as well, but we need to just find the plan, so, which one, design drawings maybe?
The fencing is gonna be charcoal to match, is gonna be painted charcoal to match?
I don't know whether it's a paint or stain, but the intention is that we match the finish of what's there.
Okay,
So, so currently from the building to the street is 30 feet, 30.7. That's important because the renderings kind of make it look a little closer than that. And here's the parking layout with the handicap space here, striped area, and entrance of the door here.
Can we talk about lighting, because I think I saw a proposal of some LED along the top of the eyebrow.
Yes, there's three main lighting components. The first is that there's a new canopy planned for the Noroton Avenue elevation of the building, in which we'd like to install the sign that says Bojazdzic Construction and just have a small LED strip light, 3/16 of an inch thick, mounted to the underside of the web of the steel to illuminate that sign. That's in our drawings and renderings. There's a sconce next to the entry door, and I think you should have a specification for that, and then a light on the back side of the building right above the overhead door to illuminate the parking lot area. Actually, you can just, the intention is that the LED strip would be right there.
Oh, so not all the way across on.
No, just under the sign.
Got it, okay. And just one sconce
Yeah,
at the door?
yep.
so again, that lighting would go on, would be similar question we had the other to the last applicant. The lighting would be going on all evening?
Honestly, we haven't talked, we're happy to entertain whatever would make
Okay.
you guys feel comfortable. We don't want this to feel like a Vegas Strip, so,
worried about that. What lumen are you specifying for this?
So we would use 3,000, I should say the spec sheet says that it's available in range, we
Yeah.
confirmed today that it is available at 3,000, that's what our
Okay.
preference would be.
Okay, yeah.
And then on the others, it should, at least the sconce should just be a matter of the lamp being 3,000.
Yeah.
I want to just flag two conflicts in the drawings, just for clarity. One is that the rendering does not depict the back door being replaced, but the architectural drawings, the intent is to in fact replace that. That's the door at the top of the stairs. And similarly, sorry,
I'm trying to find the section with the lighting. I'm not sure I'm gonna find it in details.
I think it was just spec sheet, either that or it could have been in our, I don't know if we submitted a lighting.
Okay, so here's the back door.
Correct, so this is the accurate representation of that door, we're gonna replace it to match the window system we're using. And then on the front of the building, there is one drawing that calls for the garage door to remain, another one for it to be replaced. It is to remain, that's the
Yep.
intent, and to be painted.
Are you redoing it, either paving or resurfacing or anything?
Unclear, I mean, we're gonna have to do some stuff up at the front of the building in order to get the grading to work at the entry door. It's unclear, and honestly, it's gonna be a budget determination whether it carries down into the back. And there's actually a small patch in the back left corner because of the way the parking lot is configured, just in order to optimize the parking.
How are you draining the water on the canopy?
It's intended to be open, so it just would fall through.
It's a frame.
This is more of a
It's just
framework
frame,
than a,
so
yeah,
it's not really covered,
correct.
it's not covering the door?
No,
Interesting.
Okay.
Oh, no, that's the paving plan.
but you wouldn't see it there.
We'd
Like,
like
there
to
might
see
be
a
a little
section
trim piece
through
there.
that.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna look a little funky to have just a frame.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
aren't you gonna have some kind of
You're gonna have to have members.
members?
Yeah, there will be members coming back
Yeah.
to tie it back to the
Yeah.
building, and the idea, candidly, we have not drawn a technical section through it, but the idea would be that that you have a steel channel mounted to the building, through bolted, and then off of that, some tabs welded that would provide some additional support carrying the front end.
Mm, okay.
But we can provide a section to that, no problem.
Yeah, and plan as well, because it doesn't show anywhere for anything.
Can't see it there, the flashing of the roof parapet, is that being painted or?
Existing and to be painted.
Does the site get a lot of salt from the road?
I'm guessing, just only because it's so, the pavement comes right into the sidewalk, and so whatever the overcast is,
Yeah, I'm not sure who did the landscape plantings, but the geranium is not salt tolerant. If you want the same color and a similar vibe to everything else, you could do an Apida in there. But that's up to you. Either way, it's just an FYI that the geraniums are very salt intolerant. But the ilex is fine.
Isn't that seasonal anyway?
Not that one, that's a perennial.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think Alexandra and I are on the same wavelengths on the front. The front canopy is also an opportunity for some sort of shading device, because you have a big, large window. And if you had vertical members spaced every so often, you would be providing some sort of protection or some sort of shade protection for this large amount of glazing. And that, you may want to consider that, as
Yeah.
like a shade louver.
Yeah, exactly, like a louver.
And I'm
How far
kinda
does it-
surprised
how
the
far does
door
it-
is not protected, because typically an exit door to commercial, you need a 3-foot over, like over the entrance.
So is this you're gonna have people coming in and out that front door?
So-
Is this like a retail?
it's not retail. I mean,
Yeah.
the people who go into the office, or, a visitor may come in that door. My
Yeah.
guess is most people will park in the back and walk up the back steps, and
Right.
it's more like somebody on their team coming up for a meeting or something. There's not a lot of outside people coming in.
It's not a showroom or anything.
Right.
No. Now, do I imagine 2 or 3 people a week might come up? Sure, but at this point, I don't really know. And somebody, I think you just asked about the dimension on
Yeah,
that.
I'm
And
curious what that
yeah,
is.
we don't have it documented, so I'm happy to circle back with that, because I don't wanna speculate.
I guess the question
or
going back
scale,
to, if
but-
it becomes a shading device, you may wanna do a quick sun study to see how far it needs to come out to be able to provide that shading.
I mean, you probably can get.
I like it.
At least the top window.
And in summertime, that's when you really,
Yeah.
benefit
And this is facing.
That's east.
Facing
Facing
east.
So the morning time,
Morning.
inside.
And it turns,
from it.
okay.
Ryan, would you consider any sort of, shading for the utilities on the side of the building? That's kind of called out. I appreciate you putting them back in the new drawing. Did you think about that, or is it?
We, honestly,
Is it
we didn't think
non-optional?
about it. It's not that it's not optional, and I'd be happy to consider it. I would wanna just make sure whatever we're doing obviously meets any of the utility requirements,
Yeah,
just to
I know
consider.
that-
I don't think anybody would object to doing
Other
that.
side here, eh?
I think the other the perspective rendering shows them.
Yeah. It's just you've done such a nice job, and then there's like, right
I
there,
know.
it's like,
Oh, that,
you know, the
yeah.
utility there. It's like if there could be, something cool there, like even like a black aluminum box that matched the the mantle, not the mantle, the roofing.
Where?
The can-
Like the electric.
The electric box.
Yeah.
Oh, that, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought in the existing there was a pole sign.
There is a pole sign, we're gonna remove the pole sign.
Okay, that's the right answer.
yeah, there
Yeah,
you go.
this sign as well.
This one is gone, but this is the ones that have been deleted in general.
The signage. Are you gonna they gonna come back with a proposal, or do you have details on what that is?
We called out an anodized aluminum, I think it's 5.5 or 6 inches tall, it's set within the web of the steel, or just sort of on the leading edge of the steel. We didn't provide a section through it, happy to do that. And actually, that reminds me, that's the third conflict, which is that it is supposed to be, it's depicted one way in the rendering, one way in the elevation. It's supposed to be Helvetica as the font, which is the way it's shown on our architectural elevation.
It's Helvetica aluminum,
Yes.
okay.
I like this one.
I'm showing my eight, I can't read whether this says 5 inches or 6 inches, but half scale drawing.
I think that looks good, that sounds okay. Can you provide a section of that though, when you do that, along with the section for the, yeah, what does that do?
It's like it's related to, aerial.
Yeah.
It's a sensor.
I actually like that Helvetica better.
It's easier.
On that.
Which one
Yeah.
is this?
That's not Helvetica.
That's not Helvetica, it's the elevation that shows it correctly. It's a sans serif font.
Oops.
Okay.
I'm trying to find the other, it's not on this one.
This one will show it. Actually, never mind, it's area. There we go.
Yeah, that's better.
Sean would be so proud of you for putting the 173 on there. We have an old
Oh,
ARB alum. They'd be so grateful too. Rest in peace in your home right now, Sean. You're not at this meeting. Is that the same aluminum you're using on the sign?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So you want a separate signage, because typically signage is separate building permits, but that we could,
Approve it. I'm okay if you guys are okay,
Yeah.
including signage on this, like what you said.
that
As long
way it
as,
saves you another building permit application and.
I think you guys have done a really thoughtful job with your presentations. We're really grateful.
One shot, right?
So that would mean, there's a couple changes there, so like small placement to the, so new PDFs to get like administrative approval, so the possible changes in the plantings, right?
Yep.
Signage, a section of the signage, section of the canopy, considering that, right, a shade louver there. Caging of the wall utility if there, and then you got a couple small little, things that you need to know, right, with the font, the door in the back. So maybe one of those things are all buttoned up, you get a new final PDF to Hervé that includes those sections, and then you get administratively approve it.
What is the sections you wanted? What's the section?
For the canopy and for the sign, for the signage. Just so specifically marks the material, the size.
And we'll do something through the planter also, just to confirm the height on that.
Oh yeah, that'd be great too, good call. Great.
Okay.
Do you live in town?
No.
You wanna move to Darien?
There's a lot of.
It was a question followed by a compliment.
Oh,
You failed the question
thank you,
though.
sorry.
If you move to town, call me. All right, I think that's good. So we will look forward to hearing with you through
Great.
Renee, okay?
Thank you guys very much.
Okay, thank you so much for the presentation.
You don't have to look while I do this.
Yes, oh yeah, that's great. That's so fun.
It's a big sample.
All right, that's the lintel.
Oh.
It's gonna be the actual.
Really good.
Next up, ARB 22-2025, which is PL 2596 in Viewpoint at 40 Heights Road is the address. Edward Jones.
You don't even have to state your name.
Well, it's 40 Heights Road and Edward Jones, right? It's all signage at 40 Heights Road?
Yeah, I live in town.
Okay,
Yeah, Hungwell signs,
I live in town.
Hungwell signs, 1031 Post Road,
Could
that's
be a
something new.
conflict of interest.
Okay,
Massive cap.
40 Heights Road.
Yes. Where do you want to start?
I think, you want to start with the canopy lettering?
Yeah, that's a good idea. The actual, like, the building signage. There you go. Yeah,
I think it's gonna look great, by the way, but,
yeah.
so, so in the paperwork, it's not illuminated. They want to go deep, they want to use a Corten steel on the sides, but I don't think we're gonna be able to use steel, but we use a material that's close to it. Just trying to form Corten steel is a little tricky, but it'll mimic the steel, if it's not steel, so. The returns on it.
Okay.
And it's got a, I think we have a drawing about how it's cut away, the form.
Where's
Like
the
that.
detail? I thought that, there we go.
Mm,
That.
mhm.
Yeah, there we
So
go.
is that how you're doing it?
Yeah, and if you go
Just
a little bit lower, this is, it'll show you,
Right.
this is their,
Yeah,
that's what they
I
want.
remember that.
Yeah, remember this is kind of line. So it's,
So it does sit proud?
yeah,
Yeah.
and it'll have that nice return on it,
This one looks so cool.
yeah.
Do you have an idea what the return's gonna be?
What, the material?
The return,
How deep?
like how deep are you gonna
Oh, how
make
far, I think we have it
Yeah.
at 6 inches, I think they wanted it 6,
it? It does, all right.
yeah.
There you go, yeah, sorry, Kevin.
I mean, if we do 5, is that fine too? I mean, 6 is so deep,
Yeah.
yeah. They're flexible, but. So yeah, white faces, nice return on it.
Non-illuminated. All right.
Okay.
Any questions?
Did we finalize the approval of the canopy
I think so, I think we approved that one with the building, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
with Federal Realty?
Mm-hmm. We loved that. That was.
All right, this is gonna replace the existing monument sign,
It's here.
if it's approved. Yeah, they have a location on there.
Yep.
This is the Corten steel, they wanted to carry this theme throughout. The only thing I was wondering, I could talk to the federal about it, is what side of they want the address. Could they put it on both sides, or just one side, right, the 40 Heights?
Oh, because.
I was just curious on, I don't think they had any detail on this side or that side.
If it's there on plan, are you gonna see it from that side?
You probably only need the street side.
Yeah,
Like coming down Heights Road, coming down
Otherwise,
from,
you're
Coming
like
down
in
this-
this bush.
coming down from
That's right.
Noroton Avenue?
yeah.
Yeah,
So you see the side first, and then the face of the sign will be parallel to the
to the, yeah,
facade.
exactly. Yeah, similar to what's there now?
Did you have a hard time deciding if 40 Heights was going up or down?
No.
Down is better? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm just asking.
So are we doing it on both sides?
We're not.
This one.
Yeah, because
The
nobody would.
the only
nobody
comment
would
I have
get
is
going.
like, you've got a lot of background and you've got
Mm-hmm.
smaller signs. Does the proportion bother you guys?
Yeah, well, the same thing.
Well, again, is it 20 square feet overall?
Yeah, I'm curious if there's gonna be just 4 tenants.
That's what I was wondering, is that why you did it like that?
Four by.
Because you have Equinox back there, I'm not sure whether they're gonna put
Yeah.
something in the future there.
Oh, can they have, is the building big enough to have more than 14?
No, actually, yeah, good point. Yeah, you have Citibank, you have, you know it's there, like Edward Jones,
Mhm.
and, yeah. I see what you're saying about the proportion.
What are you doing with the Core-10 to prevent it from staining the base?
What I did to, I always mispronounce it, but what I did to the Gardner Center, have you ever seen the Gardner Center sign?
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's an acid,
Yeah.
I always say it wrong. But you hit it with an acid first, and it
Okay.
gets to that point, and it stays.
And
You
so
can-
And it won't
it's done,
continue
it's
to-
done.
No, it won't drip.
Okay.
It kind of freezes it, but.
Because I think the Darien Common sign, they did a treatment on it and then they were concerned that it would drip onto their stonework and
Yeah.
so they sealed it. But I don't know the process of that.
We didn't have an issue at the
Mhm.
Gardner Center, but if
Alright.
there is an issue, you can seal it, obviously,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Okay.
So it has a little linear uplight in that little trough.
Yeah, drop it right
That's
in
what
there.
it is, right, little LED.
Do you have the lumens on that, Kev?
Well, is there room? And this is very, very small.
Mhm.
How do you stick a little light?
You wanna keep it at 3,000?
How do you lodge it in there?
There'll be like a little return in here.
This looks like a half an inch.
There'll be a return, like maybe,
The nice thing is the lighting in the Darien Commons is almost all 3,000, so this will relate to, at least to there.
yeah.
Maybe not some of the other tenants down Heights, but.
Plus you're not looking at this from far away, so I
Right.
think that's fine anyway, just.
So wait, going back to the face of the sign, Alex, to like,
Yeah,
the
I
fine
think,
point on that.
You think there's too much dead space?
not that I want the tenant signs to be bigger.
That's Core-10, is that?
Yeah, you know, can the whole monument sign be
Oh, that's
Like
smaller?
the border
The
around
border
it
around
is
it, yeah.
Keep it all,
consistent,
keep it
a
like,
little smaller.
keep the base a little bit wider,
Yeah,
taller,
yeah,
and then just keep the top this width,
Yeah.
maybe.
so you
yes.
have more of
Yeah,
one at the base.
Yeah,
Kind of a relationship.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Good point.
the three sides being equal
Yep.
and the base being.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
just at the base more.
Yep.
Alright.
Realistically though, how big is the lettering on those tenant signs?
On the, good point,
Like Edward Jones,
I could get that for you.
Well, that thing says 16 by 8, is that what that says there?
Yep,
That's small. Very
Yeah.
small.
you guys see them? Okay,
And they don't want it to be on
Larger.
two lines?
signage,
I,
but
I think again, it's like you're only probably maybe 10 feet away from the sign when you're
Yeah, I
looking
mean,
at
you
it, so.
kind of know your drive at the building.
I can get the,
Is there
I can get the,
So there's big signs on
I
that.
see what you're saying,
There's signs on the actual building, yeah.
Any effect on this monument sign?
I see what you're saying.
Does our discussion about monument signs in general?
Well, the other,
might
the other composition is to have 4 plates all the way across with larger lettering. Edward Jones would work well. Citibank is kind of a short word, but if you had a plate that was, you know, more, maybe you don't have to go maybe quite 4 foot wide, but it could be more linear. I like this
No, I
composition.
like this layout.
I like the
Yeah.
cross, but if you needed a long,
I
problem
think
with
as you're
edge.
driving close enough to see it, you're literally seeing, looking
Right.
up and seeing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's
I
aesthetic
think,
too.
I think.
So I think it's
it's
okay.
mostly
I
a
agree.
decorative sign.
I think, yeah, it's not so, yeah.
And Edward Jones doesn't want to be on 2 lines, do they?
Coming to that
Probably
point, you
Yeah.
don't even need these
Otherwise it's-
tenant signs at all. Like you
Like
just
Edward.
need something that pick up on Penn says 40 Heights Road, if you're really thinking about it. Because it's gonna be totally dominated by Citibank and I think, I don't know. I think it's just nice, it makes it more approachable,
Yeah,
but I don't think it's actually serving a function.
Yes, unless you're a second,
Yeah,
unless
I
you're a second floor tenant and the entrance is on the other side of the building.
Got it, you see, unless you're one of the
That's-
smaller tenants and then you
Yeah,
need the
that's
space.
the only.
Sorry, Kev, we're having a side discussion saying like how these signs are just kind of like, just more decorative at this point, right? The actual real signage is on the building,
Right.
which we're going to approve.
You can almost imagine
Eventually.
they don't want to sacrifice the fact that they have a monument sign already.
Yeah,
Let's do something
yeah, let's do
with that
something with
space.
it,
Yeah.
okay,
You clean it up
Use
and
it
make it
for
look
the-
nice.
alright.
I like the design.
So it's nice, can you repropose it though with like, you know,
I'll
trimming
read-
down,
yeah,
yeah,
oh, yeah,
the height of
Yeah.
the face?
no problem.
Okay, that's good, and then there's one more, right, is that, are we
We
proposing?
have Edward Jones
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, on
They
here.
wanted to,
Is it on this one?
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So the front of the building sign's good, the monument sign is good with a small change.
okay.
And then this one.
Edward Jones wants to just do like halo. They wanna have, I think Citibank is gonna come. They haven't talked to me about it, but I'm sure I think they want it to be electrified too, like illuminated as well.
Yeah, they're gonna come back at some
Yeah.
point, okay.
Okay.
We would assume whatever you do, get that, what we approve here, Citibank would match in the
Yeah.
same style.
Do you have
Pretty
a-
straightforward. I think I have another drawing.
You have another drawing, right?
I believe I
Didn't
do.
you upload a recent one?
I think final PDF.
I just like, sometimes I'll have like 3 finals in there.
You name
You should
things.
see the name of my files. I have plumbing drawings that are
Final
called
file.
surveys.
Yes,
Final,
And survey drawings that are not.
That's the one.
yes. I like
Sure.
final.
Not in
It's
this.
all because you think it's final.
I know. I know.
All right, final drawing, let's see. Edward
Oh, I think
Jones.
we're onto something there.
Yeah, when are you gonna do the
Something.
facelift on this thing? I've been waiting for it.
Haven't they started? They
I just realized this when I was looking at the drawings. We'll switch that to 3,000, but in my drawing, I don't, I guess I moved it in 16 didn't go with it, but,
So it's 16 inches high.
yeah, exactly.
That's fine. And here's the section.
It kind of looks illuminated, but it's, that's just the way I drew it, but, it's just gonna be halo, it's gonna be opaque face and,
Yeah, big face, okay. So that 60 inches high sits, did you know how long that,
how tall
Sign
that-
band is? Yeah.
Yes, it's 24.
it is? Oh, cool.
I think it's in the specs too.
What is?
Just the sign band. how
Sign
tall-
band.
Sign band, I
Right,
believe it's 24. I just scaled it to,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, to 24.
Good amount of breathing space.
I think this is the last part of that build over there, to just make this building nice and everything else is done, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And this sign's on the front and back, right? There's 2 of these?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Is it purposely a different font from Edward to Jones?
Did they? Oh, yeah, that's their.
That's their thing? I've never noticed that
Their
before,
brand.
until, I've never noticed that, wow. It's much more obvious on this new sign band. Okay, right guys?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Good.
Sounds good. I'm gonna put a note in here that when Citibank comes, they should treat, if it's you or whoever, they should treat the sign the same way that
Okay.
Edward Jones has been treated.
Okay, thanks.
Alright, so you'll have like, I'm gonna wait to send you a letter, so can you send in a new PDF to Hervé into the file that shows the change of the face of the monument sign? And then I can put it in a letter.
Yeah, makes sense, okay. All right, thanks.
Did we get a full planting plan for the Citibank building?
We approved it already.
Yeah,
This one?
I remember.
Yeah, we approved it when they came in for the windows and the gutters and roof and all the other architectural details.
One of the biggest challenges that I have
Yeah.
in the job that I do is to make sure that when people resubmit drawings, they actually submit drawings that are similar to what was approved 6 months earlier or something.
I took a look and it was very, I remember,
Good.
yes.
I count on
Might
it.
have actually, now in retrospect, like
Especially
asked
with
for
planting
one
plan that I'm
close-up,
not
but it
really
was the same.
an expert at, it's just, like, I'm just
Yeah,
crossing my fingers that the site plan is, it looked all right, but just in case they change little things, I won't be able to see it.
Last application, excuse me, for the evening is ARB 23-2025 in Viewpoint, that would be PL 25-100. The address is 364 Boston Post Road, called Darien Décor and Design. Thank you so much for waiting.
Hi,
Hi.
thank you. I'm David Freelove, I do live in Darien.
What's your, how do you spell your last name?
Freelove?
Yeah, Free Love?
Yeah. And the store is owned by my eldest daughter, Kate Pessa. And the sign is the exact same dimensions as the martial arts one that's coming down.
This is great. I've never written the candidate name, father of owner. That's a new
Yes.
one. That's fun.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
So it's non-illuminated, essentially a navy background with white lettering, and that's
I'll go back to that, just.
That's it.
See.
So all the other signs there though are the same color though. You're doing a different color though. You're doing navy color.
Yeah, the one
versus
that's
like
there
the
is
bla-
black.
Everyone there is black with white lettering. It's on that building.
Yep. Because that's our logo, that's why it's.
Okay.
There we go, that's what I wanted to see. So
Well, I think
that's-
that one's
So
green,
they're all the
actually.
same tree, yeah.
That's the
Is the other one-
existing
No,
sign.
the other one's green.
Is it?
It's
Okay.
green.
Green.
The dry
Okay.
cleaner's green.
And
Okay.
orange theory is, I think, something else too.
I like that. Okay, good.
That's not what I want to do.
Otherwise I would say
Where's
it's the
my,
same.
there we go, okay.
Oh, so it's not as long a sign as the,
Yeah, so when you said you were using the same dimension of the sign.
If it's not identical, it's very close, but it's not bigger.
Right.
but it's more horizontal. The existing one's more horizontal.
Yeah, because it's.
So it goes from
Yeah, yeah.
chain to
Yeah.
chain,
Yeah.
slightly past,
Yeah, ours is slightly shorter.
and yours
It's gotta fit in the sign band
is a little shorter.
A little bit shorter, sorry.
Yeah. So your limiting factor on this, which doesn't really, it's hard to see in this image, but you can see if you go back to the legacy martial arts, is that there's a brick.
I don't know, it doesn't want to stay open, it's very frustrating.
there. Yeah.
Yes, so do you see how there's like the brick course, what do you call it?
Coursing.
Coursing?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The sign, because I know the other signs should all fit between, the total height of the sign should fit in between those.
Right,
From here to here.
right.
Get
Yeah.
the recess.
Yes.
And that's right.
See that
Yes,
course
thank
of
you.
brick?
I did,
Thanks
yeah.
for all the design terms. But
Yeah.
yes, within that recess.
So do we know what that height is?
Well,
You can count the
number of bricks,
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
yes,
got
you
the
can
bricks.
count the bricks, yes.
1, 2,
I
3,
think the same
4,
sign
5,
company that
6.
did theirs is doing ours, so I think we can figure that out pretty easily.
18 inches?
6.
Is it 2.5? Is
2
each
and
brick?
3/4,
Oh, and then you've got the joints.
Plus the mortar.
Yeah,
18, maybe
18.
a little bit more.
it's probably 18.
It's probably 18 inches. Okay.
No, maybe a little bit less, actually. That's not gonna add up to
Sorry, we're doing the math. We're doing the math for you, David. So it will be a little less than 18 inches based on what the bricks
Okay.
are showing here.
Okay. We will shrink it to fit.
And that's an important detail that we look at in town. It works.
Whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Works for
Town
us.
looks good.
How's that?
Yeah.
So we know the material of the sign is,
I think it should be spec'd by the sign company there. Did
Yeah,
they
what
put
is that?
in
That
there?
wasn't
I
there
think they
before.
did, yeah. It's essentially one of two companies like
design and sign dimension, there we go, that should be.
Yeah.
Alright, so 76 inches, so that's good, that's 18.
It's close, 18.
There you go.
Calls
Yeah,
for 18
I would just
inches.
measure it, you know,
Yeah,
measure twice, cut once.
Yeah, verify that it is
Yeah.
that dimension.
But 18's fine?
Well,
Check the bricks.
yeah, make sure that it fits within the brick.
Got it. I'll get up on a ladder and measure. Or somebody will.
But it's the same sign,
Not really.
just let them know that they should match the adjacent signs.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then 76, that's fine, and then we have,
Cabinet sign. Not that-
Let me see what it's made of.
I know, it doesn't, I know cabinet sign was inferred something, like it would come, but I,
No.
no, right, okay.
Oh,
I guess, well,
It should.
looks like
Says-
acrylic or polycarb is a choice in white, but that's, yeah. They need to give us the material,
yeah,
because it doesn't say anywhere
Okay.
what it's made of.
Submit that electronically?
Yep,
Okay.
And additional
Yes.
information on that.
that'd be great.
Is there a preferred material? So we just,
No, again, I would go what the adjacent signs are.
okay,
Like, I think there's a consistent look there that's been successful,
okay,
so I would match your fellow tenants.
no problem.
The only concern I had was when I saw 3 inches, that's fairly thick. I'm not sure that the This sign was 3
That,
inches
that
thick.
actually
That's-
looks like it could be
You
at
think?
least 2 inches. Yeah, look
Yeah.
at look at the shadow.
Yeah, right there.
I mean, 3 inches is not that, and that could be 3 inches,
Okay, all right.
So same material and keep it within the.
And same height,
Okay.
yeah, awesome.
problem.
Great.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
David.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Good to meet you, good luck to your daughter.
Yeah. Multiple daughters, I have 4.
Oh, my lord,
gosh.
wow. What a good man.
I'm one of 3, so God bless you.
They're all old except for the 16-year-old who's driving me crazy. Thank you all.
Thank
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Hervé, if you can confirm those things, I can write a letter for that. I could do it, I could do a letter for that one.
An approval?
Yeah, I could do a letter, yeah, save you, yeah. If he gets that done in the next couple days, I'll do a letter. Before moving on, sorry, did we decide for applicant number 2, are you gonna, for Burr Architects along Heights Road there? He's got a couple things to confirm and resubmit. Is that okay to be an administrative approval? I think that's too much of changes for me to be doing a letter on that one.
Which one is?
The garage,
garage door
the
one.
garage door.
Section of the canopy, the.
Yeah, there are a couple sections that need to come in, he's gonna confirm changes to like planners,
He's
door,
changing
yeah.
the hiding the utilities. Maybe he
Yeah.
could come back in July.
I don't know if I need to come back, he needs to come back, it seems small. Can we discuss, can we leave it open, it might be admin, it might be a letter from me?
Oh, you wanna approve it?
Yeah, I'm happy to approve it, I'm happy to approve it, I just feel bad that it might be admin certificate, cause there's a lot of like things to keep checking off that need to come in.
Well, I think they should submit a couple of things, and even if it's just what you could put in your letter is, they're gonna submit additional information for their building permit.
Okay,
So that
Okay,
way you
I think
can
that's great.
approve what they've done here today as a ARB approval with a
Okay.
couple of things that you want them to put in their construction drawings, detailed drawings, right?
Yeah.
And that way we'll be in the building permit by the time they file, it won't delay them and.
perfect. Great solution as always, Hervé. Always something to keep it moving. All right, that is the end of our applications for tonight. I want to open up a final item, which is a discussion about general sign enforcement in town. As spring comes along, you guys see that long signs become a cacophony around here. A lot of people start putting out their own signage, like beyond regulation. And I just wanted to open up just a discussion around it. The first thing is lawn signs. We get calls about it all the time, it's kind of all over the place, what's the rule about it? And Hervé and other towns have put together a plan on how they handle lawn signage. They actually do it through a regulated process and not just people going around putting up stuff. I wanna see what you guys thought about this and proposing this to planning and zoning to adopt into the regs.
I'm all
This is not the
for
most-
giving some guidelines to this kind of stuff,
Yeah,
so,
okay,
and if other neighboring towns do it, I don't think that's an issue.
so yeah, it's considered any sign like
So this
public
is-
roadway, 10, 12 feet.
So this would be our proposal?
So no, this is what is available as a policy so far, but this is another thing that was on June 11, 2024. Email communicated to Marley, our PR person, to be published somewhere or found somewhere on our website. Lawn signs are allowed under the following circumstances: for Darien community-oriented events only, not for businesses. The signs are only allowed on a temporary basis. They may be installed no more than 1 week prior to the event, and they shall be taken down by the event organizer 24 to 48 hours after the event. And we suggest that if your organization has question about lawn sign, contact zoning officer Hervé Hammond by email. Right.
So you're the arbiter then?
Yeah, I'm the point person.
Yeah.
But I mean, pretty much what we want to try to avoid is when there are seasons when there are a lot of events, like
Spring is one.
what's the name of that school at the top of Noroton, the top of near Water Lane?
Henley?
Henley.
Henley,
Henley
Carmel,
puts a
Henley
lot of
Henley.
signs when they have their fair and everything,
Yeah.
so you find them all over, and they just tend to leave them, and that's just too bad. They should really, people should know they need to remove
Clean up
them.
after.
In the other one said, no more than 1 week before an event should be removed 1 day after the event. That's the same thing. Placement on town park property requires approval from the Parks and Rec. Sign along the roadway or on town-owned properties subject to removal by DPW if the signs are, if there are signs, you can put a sign from a contractor as long as it's on your private land. So if you want to advertise your painter and your architect, or your, usually not advertise, unfortunately, but, you know, anybody, as long as it's on your lawn, it's okay. But it's not okay if it's on the street, which is where they want to put it, so. Then not allowed to be put onto the Department of Transportation, I-95, all the state roads, all of that is just out. And that's what we try to say. One of the things that happens at graduation is all these graduation signs.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I love knowing that the kids are graduated, and it's fantastic, but when there are signs everywhere, it just becomes kind of messy looking. So if they could be on the front lawn, that's okay. If they're right at the driveway's edge and you just, you know, house to house, you see how many, it's crazy.
I feel like that one gets a little fuzzier, like
It's
describe how
fuzzy.
enforcing that,
Well,
but the idea of like,
We try not to enforce that.
Yeah.
We try to tell people if it's too many or if it's just too you know, too much. But freedom of speech is the other side of this, where political signs are allowed, pretty much, you can't, you know, and you can advertise anything you want as a, so you have to balance the two things. So it's when it's advertising for something that is not town related, then there's a much stronger enforcement, and Woody usually picks them up.
so my question is, how would you guys enforce this? How would you enforce that it's like, the pickup, the cleanup?
Well,
What is the
on
process for?
If on the sign, it's like, for example, even if it's a town event, and it's like 1 week past or 2 weeks past the event, either Woody or I will be driving around and just grabbing them and tossing them. You know, there's just, that's what Woody does. He will just take rounds throughout town regularly. Typically,
Is there a way though to prevent that though, so the people putting out the signs could be responsible for
So
picking them
what
back
we've
up?
done is, we've actually, in the past, we've gone after
Signs
people, we've gone after people.
Yeah.
A week.
There was,
Disintegrate.
do you remember the people who were putting signs and you caught them and you took a picture of them?
Yes, really? Yeah.
Yeah, well, we have a special branch of zoning enforcement, Liz
Oh,
Geiger,
was the Geiger?
CEO.
Well, it's those teak signs, every weekend they come, the day that planning and zoning leaves, they leave office at 5 o'clock on Thursday. They have a guy who comes in some like dark truck at the, right at night's light, where it starts to get dark, and they go around town, they go to every exit sign and put the signs up.
Right.
They know exactly what they're doing in the
What
darkness.
sign is it?
So what we do,
It's that, those teak sale signs,
yeah, they had furniture stuff like that.
furniture signs.
So we end up,
They're very calculated
we
about it.
we call them and we find who the owner of the company is, and he gets a letter, he gets a violation letter. And usually that kind of slows things down quite a bit.
Yeah.
And,
If there's a contact info on the sign.
yeah, often there is, but
Oh,
you know, yeah, there's often, well, if it's advertising,
Yeah.
there is a contact.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we try to follow up with those, but it goes up and down. It's like, and there's always the same intersection, right in front of Tokenique School, right at the Middlesex area there where there's, you know, the fork of Middlesex, you know, massage and whatever else, you can find all sorts of free services there. So, and I don't know, it's because, you know, you just have these flow of traffic, so we try to.
So I still like confused on what we'd possibly be proposing as how to regulate this, like how do you regulate people that actually have done are doing it according to?
Typically lawn signs, if they're not events related to town related, they're not allowed.
Yeah, so
on the-
someone will just
on
go pick them up
public
right
road.
away, is that like,
That's-
that's what we're stating,
Yeah.
unless they've come through town, okay.
So this is where you find some of the events, you have to read the sign, if it's like, you know, coffee at the library for blah, blah, blah. There has to be a line on what is a town event, and but when they advertise the sidewalk sales or something, or, you know, if it's.
Well, there's a Macbeth sign out right now, I think that's a play, but in another town. I
Oh,
don't
the
think-
Rowayton, Shakespeare?
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Yeah,
if it's-
okay.
if it's
Yeah.
out of town, it's also not allowed.
So
it's
is
just
there a way
kinda
that's
like, kinda
considered?
strict, but
Oh, so,
Yeah,
so
but
that,
that's
so
easy
when they
together.
have it,
if they are putting it at Tokenique Road in front
Yeah.
of Tokenique School, if it's for Rowayton, even though that makes a lot of sense because it's on the
'Cause
way
it's
to
right there.
Rowayton, it would be picked up. So just Darien, town, city organization, Chamber of Commerce, you know, things that are kind of townwide. They may seem overly strict, but cultural events are kind of on the fence. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
Cute.
you know.
I mean, I like it when I see those signs, because I'm like, oh, come to the again.
So one of the things that could work is if there were dedicated locations in town. I think some, yeah.
Just saying that, it's so funny.
Yeah.
And if you had a place that had like a giant bulletin board,
Right.
because not everybody needs to be on their phone all the time.
Well
Or
driven.
actually knowing what they're looking for, because there's so much to look for.
Mhm.
But if you were crossing and then people wanted to advertise in the neighboring town, there would be a place in
Yeah.
town to see.
Mhm.
I don't know, you know, like we have contractors at the building department, we don't advertise them because that's just illegal. We have no preference for anyone, so that's public servant type 101. But a town could just be very neutral and say, okay, well, here are some of the events that we think are worthy of placing.
Mhm.
Now, of course, that, to your question, is how do you control that? It's like how, you know, where do you draw the line on
Mhm.
what can be posted? So does it have to be for the public interest, or can it be a painter's? You know, like,
You see it? Like, you put giant sheets up and they're like, happy birthday, Henry.
Oh, they do?
Yes.
New
no.
Canaan has,
Oh,
New Canaan has,
Yeah, I love it.
New Canaan has the corner of South Avenue, just above the middle school. They have a fence there. Right at the corner of the intersection at the top of the high school and in front of the Saks Middle School,
Yeah.
where there are always banners and stuff. They kind of have reserved that
Oh,
spot.
yes, that's right.
Right?
Yes,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
right.
I know you're talking
That's
about,
right.
yeah, you're right.
And they do
Yes.
rotate, they do
Yes.
change them.
Yeah, they got.
Rowing has
it.
it at that park.
Yeah, right when you turn
Yeah,
in.
because it's
That's
really
what
not
I
hurting
got with the
anyone.
idea, actually. You know when you go around that bend, there's a
We
little,
don't
like,
have that
like,
kind of place, that sort of
I know,
central
that central-
place.
yeah.
The entrance
I mean,
are
we
great.
got two.
The entrance of Great Island?
I think it's the great island.
Sorry,
Welcome to the sports shop.
I'm not funny.
Liz is gonna volunteer her fence.
Oh my god.
Well, it's a high traffic.
Across from you, you're the one looking at it.
Look at it.
It has to be a high traffic area.
Yeah.
That makes sense,
Yeah.
and, you know. What is Mr. Genovese doing in the very back?
Yeah, he's got some fun
entrance
stuff.
Of 11 there.
David, the underpass of 95.
I was thinking that too. But that'd be great. Everyone driving over there looking at 5,000 signs, like.
Yeah, so that's the
relaxing.
other thing too, signs cannot be distraction to
Yeah.
traffic, it's
Yeah.
where you have a little,
Yeah.
that's why they can't flash or anything.
Well, the standpoint, so is this something that, like, so let's have something that we can actually work with the time being? We can
Yeah.
keep that,
Yeah,
is this
that
something,
and if you want, I could, well.
is this something that exists so that we can recommend planning and zoning, or should we bring this back again to reinforce this? Cause I feel like there aren't any law and sign enforcement, so I think the board supports it.
Yeah,
I think it's, you're right, it's not in the code, it's just a policy, so if we would recommend for planning and zoning commission to adopt the text.
Okay.
If you wanted to modify that, and you know, just.
The one modification I would have, I think a 1 week prior is a little stingy
yeah.
for some
Yeah,
of these
that's what
events,
we
I don't
wrote,
know.
we wrote 2 weeks in this one.
You did, right? Or 2
No
weeks?
more, well,
I don't know.
more than 1 week, huh?
I
2
agree.
weeks, 3
I
weeks?
think
2 weeks.
I'd
2
rather like
weeks?
2 weeks before and then take it off when the event's over.
Yeah,
Maybe cut
Or-
down
I
to
think-
Within 24 hours,
after
right?
it's over. But I
Yeah.
think 2 weeks.
The
For
problem
some of
with
these
the problem with the taking off is when it falls on a weekend, they can't get their volunteers, or, you know, we've been given a lot of reasons and excuses, but typically people are telling us
Next
it's
week.
hard to take them out.
Next business day, you know?
Yeah, well, well, that's what we said, within 24 to 48 hours, that's 2 days typically allows.
mm-hmm.
For some of these events, do they have to get permits through the town?
Yes, well,
Because
there's,
maybe that could be like a way to let them know about this as they're getting their permit, that they need
right,
to
that's true.
sign that they acknowledge the policy. You know, it's probably not hard, it's probably hard to enforce, but if at least they acknowledge, like, I understand, we're gonna tell our,
Something
you
we're
know,
supposed to
our
do.
team or committee about it. Versus just assuming someone's like reading the
Well,
website.
I think you totally nailed it, because if you put a small thing that says, as part of this approval for your permit, not promising,
You
you're committing-
You
acknowledge.
acknowledge.
you're acknowledging that you will be removing these signs, if not, of course, there's no fine and penalties here, but, if not, you know, whatever.
We'll come after
Uh, Yeah, we demand that you remove the signs. The people are gonna sign that the same way I right now approve liquor permits. So if they don't sign a bunch of conditions, then if they don't sign that, they will be removing the permit. So that kind of commits them to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I
You
really
could also
like that.
say-
And it's not on the paperwork right now, so that could be easily a one-liner with a signature line.
You could also say if you're in violation, it may impact your ability to get a permit in the future.
That I'd love. We're trying to get that as part of the mechanics of things you and I talked about it.
Yeah, I
If
know.
there is any violation on any aspect, you cannot pretend to receiving any other permit.
Yes,
So it's kind of like, it freezes you.
how about can we jump to that? Can we,
You can,
Can we-
but I'll tell you, it hasn't gone.
or can we jump to number 3, violations,
Yeah.
fine,
It
penalties?
hasn't gone in front of planning, it just asked, it hasn't gone through planning and zoning commission or RTM yet.
I'm saying, can we
It's
jump to
still
that
being
now as a
looked at.
topic of discussion?
Yeah.
And the topic of discussion would be like, what is the opportunity for fines, violations, like what do we have as the ARB right now? And so they're,
Right now, it hasn't been really looked at, and what has been talked about, it has gone hand to hand to different people, but it hasn't been formally heard in a hearing yet.
okay,
And from what I gathered from Jeremy's information, given me last week, was the RTM will have to be involved with it.
okay.
And
So the ARB could make a recommendation to the
and I don't know
RTM?
which one is gonna come first, RTM, then P&Z, or, yeah. And if you make a recommendation that's more than supportive, that's great.
And what, can you outline for like, we have a stance on that, what would be opportunities we have for violations that you've seen that have worked before in other towns? You had suggested some ideas with permitting, what Dave's
Well, the one
idea.
the one he said, well, there's, one, that's a great one, is that if there is any violation of any aspect, that applicant kind of gets recorded as a, violator, and then cannot apply to anything new until that's completely resolved. So that's a way to freeze. That's good for contractors that are not following the rules for certain things, and and that's just like prevents the, or developers and builders.
Okay,
But then when homeowner violates something, you can propose to put a fine or a penalty or a lien on their title.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when people don't wanna pay, and they say, I don't care about these fines, I'm not gonna pay anything. Well, then it just accumulates, but it has to be recorded, and it gets to a certain amount, so it's like it has to have somebody administer that. So the fine and penalties, there is a system in Norwalk, and Bob Maslin is the officer who oversees the process.
hmm,
So there has to be someone in charge, because it's a big job, it can
Yeah.
get, pretty big. And you have someone to have a really good, strong knowledge of the law and enforcement, and since he's a previous law enforcement person, and as well as an attorney, he's got a great knowledge for this, and that's what he's doing for Norwalk, so he'd probably be a good candidate, but, there may be other candidates, so just have to have someone who can,
Keep an eye on
yeah.
so what do you guys think about that kind of conversation? Like, do you guys have an opinion if this is something we should at all pursue or think about, or is this just?
it. How
Or change
often
the
how often does it affect us as a board?
I'd say every month there's an issue that I see.
Well, we can mention the third
Yes.
item, which is Goodwife Shopping Center.
Yeah, so there's a
They
few,
keep
right now there's
changing
tons.
things. They keep
Goodwife
changing
Shopping
things.
Center,
Signage.
for lack of a better word, is constantly violating the signage regulation with one way or the other in minor or major ways, and we don't know, I
Sorry,
wrote
what
a
are
note
they
to Jack, the manager, but, like the last one is Hunan Cafe, went ahead and did these partition table height that all say Hunan Cafe, and there's like, what, 12 of them?
Yeah, tons of
So
them.
if that's not signage,
Right.
that's like, it's like overwhelming signage, but nobody filed for anything. Lack of knowledge or is ignorance,
They wouldn't change their monument sign. They got a new monument sign, they renamed the center without us.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
the
they
road,
renamed
the
that-
center,
that's
they had a new
right.
monument sign, they put up Hope, like a crisis signs on all the different like, stop signs, they put like a crisis line, like Hope has a number and like,
They
at
have
different
like
places.
two monument signs on
Yep,
them, like
the new monument
entrance
sign.
and exit. I don't
Like,
know if they
The
always have
different
that.
tenants are adding signage on their own, they're putting window signs or adding other, they're constantly putting out,
Sandwich board.
sandwich board signs, like
Even
there's
though they've
constant.
been told, because I've gone there at least twice, maybe 3 times, to the people who had sandwich board outside, even UPS sent, or the restaurants and the stores had sandwich signs. And they
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
understand why they can't do it, and they tell me, well, we're in the dark in the arcade, so we need the sandwich sign on the parking edge so people can see. Well, it's like, that's just
Yeah.
part of
So-
the nature of the locations.
So then going back to my question, it does sound like we need to have some level of protections or recourse for not coming back to the ARB or not coming to us for review on this stuff. And if that goes through recommending to RTM or P&Z that these are the kinds of penalties we'd like to see,
Right.
I'm in support of that.
What do the other towns do? Do you know specifically New Canaan, Greenwich, Westport?
I don't know what Buchanan and Grange do. I know what I was doing down in Maryland, but it's a bit of a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
We also used to double the permit fees, so that if somebody was doing something in the rear or after the fact, they were allowed to do that as soon as they said, oh, we're so sorry, we didn't know, which half the time was not true. So
Yeah.
we would say, okay, benefit of the doubt, you didn't know, now you're gonna come and you're gonna file, because you did something without a permit, you're gonna file a permit, but you're gonna pay double the fees.
Yeah.
Simple,
Yeah.
just a little,
And
Yeah.
planning and zoning has no appetite for, not giving the final certificate of occupancy.
that's one of our strongest leverage,
Yeah,
That is-
is the CO, because
Yeah.
sometimes we have no other leverage to say,
Yeah.
no, you haven't done this correctly, or,
But to Anna's
But we're
point,
not-
that is one of the things they don't,
they
Want
don't
to
want
do.
to, they don't want to do it, right? Planning and zoning has not put the brakes on a CO. Like they've done TCOs, but not
we
a
do.
s-
We have
You
a lot of
have.
COs that are held back many, many months if people don't.
for
comply.
ARB issues.
For
or-
ARB,
See,
not as much.
yeah, yeah.
Because they are not, it's a scale thing. I mean,
Yes.
typically, the signs actually, I'm not sure the signs actually get a CO, the building permit of a sign. It just, once the
They
sign
just
is done,
Shouldn't
it's
be
like,
part of
it's,
the
if the,
section.
How do you
Signage
close
be
it out?
underneath the-
yeah, really, you're right, that's like
It has to be
straight.
under-
Yeah, I would imagine some level of closeout would be required, so therefore, there is some leverage there.
Once the building inspectors see that it's installed correctly.
I mean, if they're getting a separate permit for the signage,
Right.
you've gotta
They are.
close out the permit. In my brain, that's the logical process.
I think we just think that it should be fully
They may be, but I don't see very,
But maybe that's something we recommend to P and Z or a building department, right? That we would withhold their, I mean, it's connected to the CO.
I will say as a town, the town, like in general, like the first selectman and P and Z has wanted us, they don't want ARBRs to be an
enforcement.
obstacle to development in town, right?
Yeah.
The goal is to move permits through successfully through town. So with that in mind, it's like, how do we do that, but also keep leverage over like,
But if they're not
Maintain,
doing it
RTM
based
might
on
have a
what
different
we've
perspective.
approved,
RTM might have a different perspective than-
yeah. No, I agree. Well, a lot of these cases, by the way, are after the fact, it's not people coming through, it's people like, seasons 2 in the nail salon, we've written multiple letters to that you're in violation, you need to change your signage. And people who have been around the block long enough are like, well, there's nothing that's gonna come with this. I
there's
think
no
that's more,
accountability, yeah.
right, so I think that's the largest part, like, there's gotta be, if Harry's gonna write a letter, there's gotta be some weight behind it.
Yeah.
A lot of
So
people,
liens and-
when
and-
they get the violation notice, they do come comply and talk. So it does have some weight. It's
But-
Yeah.
maybe, as you said, the
But
older
doing things,
organization that have been able to get away with it for long enough, or do a little more each time, like the letter to Grace Salon that I sent. That's
Yeah.
because they keep on adding phone numbers and and more signage and the thing. So
Yeah.
I haven't heard from them yet, but I will pay them a visit.
I'm willing to bet you won't.
Well, that's the thing, what's my
Could the
tooth?
town ever like pull someone's like?
Well, the license is, well, there's,
But isn't that the lien,
Like-
wouldn't that be the lien idea?
You do
the
the
lien is
lien,
on the
yeah.
property, so yeah, if you put a lien, that can kind of go into your business license, that would be interesting to see, but that gets pretty heavy duty court.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
can have a lot of fun.
Lawyers.
Yeah, I don't, yeah, it seems, that seems,
Well,
yeah. We're just brainstorming, I just wanted to throw everything on the table, so we,
How difficult would a fine be to establish? That seems like kind of the easiest.
It's pretty easy. Where I was in Maryland, my zoning inspector, I had a zoning inspector, which is a position that doesn't exist here. We have a zoning enforcement officer, we have a code compliance, but we don't have a zoning inspector. The guy was actually a retired policeman, and he had literally a booklet of tickets, like a parking ticket. And depending on the infraction, there was a ladder from $100 a day to $500 a day. And so it was already predefined, and he knew exactly what to do. So he would go around if there was blight, or if it was junk in the front yard, or if it was certain things, or trees that were cut into a wetland area. That was, right. That was the highest. The highest one is the $500 if you cut trees in a designated wetland area. In a farming
Yeah.
community, it happens.
Yeah.
that
It's
sounds
a little
amazing.
different here, but
Okay, you're hired.
Yeah.
so,
Seriously.
but he knew, and then he would report, and he would have a whole system, and that's what he was, doing this. This was for the county, so this was a, what was it? Pretty large area. Can't remember the amount of acreage, it's pretty large. But you had several little towns and villages, and he would just kind of, visit around and just kind of spend his time. It was organized, I organized it, and just, he would come back and report.
And people paid up?
Well, some people, if they didn't pay, they got a lien,
Oh, yeah.
because there was,
So
it
there
would
was
be.
that pull, you
Yeah.
could pull that trigger, yeah.
So that meant afterwards, he also had to do the research, either, pay the fine or find the deed, and so there's a lot of time involved in just making it happen. But it's just, yeah.
So what would be a next step to, proposing this? Is it worth like, I don't know.
Probably one of the reasons the town hasn't done it yet, because it is a pretty intense, involved process, and does require staffing and but maybe there's a in-between, maybe it's not quite,
Just bluff.
huh?
Just bluff and create some really fancy looking tickets. And
That sounds fun.
that gets us through the next couple of years.
Yeah, until the new board has to deal with it.
Well, people, when they do receive the thing that says notice of violation, usually quickly respond, because
Right, so that handles
the
like all the new
terminology
folks,
is
and then
is like,
Seasons too. they're
and at the
getting-
bottom it says that, and it's true, that if you do not comply with the order, so cease and desist order or something, this can include but not limited to court action, additional enforcement and
Yeah,
things. And
that's
like-
pretty scary.
Like, yeah, so when you see court action, it's like, whoa. And
Is
it's
there-
true, if it really lags too long, then the town council, the attorneys for the town can get involved, and then they can escalate, but it's just like,
Is there something you could do kind of similar to like a restaurant's like health rating? Like, in the city, you'd walk by and you're like, oh my god, they have a C and it's like
They
on
do.
their door, right?
Yeah.
They have a sticker.
Yeah.
Like some,
Well, and now buildings in New York have like energy rating.
and maybe
Oh,
it's,
really?
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know, maybe it's not
It's bullshit.
highlighting
ARB
bad
compliance rating.
businesses, maybe it's businesses in compliance have some
What's
like
there?
little Darien better business, like
Yes.
sticker, gold.
Blue wave.
Yeah, something.
How many
I don't know.
Blue wave do you get?
Interesting.
ARB approved.
little golden
I'm just
thumb, little golden
I'm just
thumbs on the door.
brainstorming, but I feel like
Yeah, good.
people
Shame them
sometimes
into-
like
Yeah,
respond to
Stickers.
when it's visible to
Sure.
other people, right?
So are you guys, so it sounds like the board is supportive of us like pursuing this or like, you know, investigating this or what our options are here. Is that a correct statement?
Yeah.
Yes,
I
okay.
mean, if we're dealing with this on a monthly basis and we have repeat offenders,
Yeah,
and there's no way to get them to understand why
yeah.
it's important
I
to
mean, there's probably a list
channel.
of 30, you know, commercial people right now that are in violation.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It is heavy. And I think the biggest problem is you've got so many people who are doing it correctly and go through the process and are
Yeah.
considerate. I think
Right.
we owe it to the people in town,
Yeah.
I think, that are doing it properly.
Yeah,
So it's less to penalize people, it's more to support the proper
the folks
applicants
who
in town.
respect the
Yeah.
process, yeah.
And maybe like the first step is researching what neighboring towns are doing, just as
Okay,
What their
like a
mechanism,
comparison.
yeah, what their mechanism of action,
okay,
penalty is, so that we're not
okay.
too far afloat.
Hervé, what is the best way to flag this with planning and zoning? So we're in,
If you have, maybe a kind of collective or a collection of ideas.
I wrote them down.
That you
Between Christina and I, we
for
wrote
that, and maybe have a conversation with Still Mulvaney about it, or send him and then have a meeting with him.
Okay,
Or even he could come here if you
Okay.
wanted to invite him about the subject.
okay,
I think that would be a step towards the Planning and Zoning Commission and see what his response would be. But it's only him, so, you know, then they eventually, it goes to the commission, other commissioners are gonna be hearing about it. So it's kind of a,
okay,
you know, kind of a work session.
okay,
He's really quite amicable to hearing creative ideas, and
so you think we should go to
he just
Steve?
got the gas tanks in front yard changed through the zoning commission text pretty quickly.
Amazing,
Yeah, because there was, you know, he was directly impacted as well, so
Oh.
he's like, wow, I can't believe that's allowed, you know, type of thing.
huh,
So if they were not buried, but they were past the front yard required setback and it was still visible, there was nothing written about it, so that, something got
Oh,
written pretty
wow.
quickly, yeah.
that's great. So this is a P and Z commission conversation next, not a P and Z department
No,
conversation.
planning is only commission
Commission,
discussion,
Okay.
yeah, the
Okay.
planning department.
okay, I think that,
That's what's nice about
good, yeah.
the zoning regulation is always an evolving document. That's
Yeah.
kind of why I like doing what I'm doing, is that you can see what the need of a town or a city change with time. I mean, Alex knows the size of the New York City code
Oh my
zoning, it's like 5 phone book. But when you look at the 1883 zoning, it's like this big. You know, and
Right.
it's fantastic to look at the old one. I love it. But it's all, each cases create an action and reaction. So I think the same happens now with the development that we have everywhere. You know,
Yeah,
Darien is
towns
getting,
change a lot.
Darien is getting a little density, a little more people,
That's right.
like every other town around us. And so there are some new issues coming, and I think that maybe that should help with,
okay,
you know.
all right, I will
That's the
compose,
comprehensive plan thing too, which, by the way, is moving along, the comprehensive plan. Jeremy wanted me to let you know that it's
the town plan of conservation and
yeah,
development.
it's, so we should see a draft at some point.
Oh, good. I did write, I think I copied you all, I did write Jeremy a letter to forward to the consultant.
Oh, yeah.
And I told him that we were disappointed, having left all our jobs early to get here, that he called in sick that day. So I hope that he took our feedback, which I compiled nicely for him, and said, I hope you take this feedback quite seriously after the time we took. So thank you guys again for all leaving your jobs to come to that meeting. All right, we're gonna move on. Minutes approval for the May minutes by Mr. Humphrey. All in favor? Anyone not in favor? All right, those are approved. Hervé, I'll sign, get those to you. It is 8:24. We are gonna adjourn. Thank you all.
All